Let's talk about your medicine cabinet. You open it up, you see a few bottles of pills, and you just assume they're safe. You have to, right? Well, a recent congressional hearing just pulled back the curtain on that assumption, and what they found is, frankly, pretty alarming. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack their findings and look at the hidden risks in America's drug supply chain. And it all really starts with this one giant number, 91%. That is the percentage of all prescriptions filled in the US that are for generic drugs. I mean, just let that sink in. They're not just some cheap alternative. They are the absolute foundation of our entire healthcare system. And look, we all just assume they're safe. We figure they're the same as the brand name, just without the crazy price tag. But the big question that this hearing really forced everyone to ask is, can you really trust what's inside that bottle? The evidence is kind of pointing to the idea that, for years, we've been taking that trust completely for granted.
And here is where the problem really begins. 3/4 of our essential medicines come from overseas manufacturers. We're not just using them a little bit, we are profoundly dependent on other countries. And that dependency, well, it's created a massive vulnerability, one we're really only just starting to grapple with now.
Okay, so let's get into how we're supposed to be ensuring quality. The FDA inspects drug manufacturing plants, right? But what actually happens inside those foreign plants? Well, that's where this story takes a really shocking turn, all thanks to the testimony of a former FDA inspector. So get this, it's just unbelievable. Here in the US, FDA inspections are total surprises. Agents just show up, unannounced, to see how things really work on a normal day. But in China and India, where, remember, most of our generics come from, those plans get weeks, sometimes months of advance notice. It's a totally different set of rules. And what do the inspectors themselves call these prearranged visits? A dog and pony show. That's a direct quote. He said they'd show up to find freshly painted facilities and perfect landscaping while all the sketchy operations were conveniently shut down for the day. The whole thing was choreographed. So his team decided, okay, we're done with the show. They started booking their own travel, showing up completely unannounced, just like they do stateside. And what they found when they pulled back that curtain, in his own words, was terrifying. And listen, we're not talking about just cutting a few corners here. This was straight up organized fraud. The inspectors found fake labs that were certifying drugs that had never even been tested. They found records where failing test results were just deleted and replaced with made-up passing scores. And maybe the most disturbing thing, they found these disgusting, unregistered shadow facilities actually making the drugs, which were then funneled through the clean, pristine show facilities just for the inspectors to see. And this isn't some abstract problem happening thousands of miles away. No, the inspector drew a direct, chilling line from this fraud to our safety. He said he has no doubt that bad reactions and, yes, even deaths are happening daily right here in the US because of this. So you have to be asking yourself, how could a system this broken even exist? Well, the answer, it turns out, is in the money. It's in the economics of the generic drug market, a system that has chased low costs above all else with some pretty devastating results. According to one expert, Dr. George Ball, the whole market was basically built on this one big flawed idea. If the original brand name drug is safe, then its generic copy will automatically be safe too. Because of that, the system was designed from the ground up with almost no quality checks or transparency. Now think about what that does. If quality is totally invisible, if nobody's checking it and you can't tell a good drug from a bad one, what's the only thing you can possibly compete on? Price. It creates this race to the bottom on cost, which pretty much guarantees you're going to get a race to the bottom on quality too. And this isn't just a theory. A recent study actually put a number on it. It found that serious adverse events, we're talking hospitalization, disability, even death, were 54% more likely for generic drugs made in India compared to the exact same drugs made right here in the US. But this whole mess goes even deeper than our personal health. It actually blows up into a massive national security threat. Our dependency has essentially given one country, China, a strategic chokehold over America's entire healthcare system. And this shift happened ridiculously fast. The main ingredients in our drugs, they're called APIs. Back in the year 2000, China and India made up about 24% of them. Fast forward to 2021, and that number exploded to 85%. We basically outsourced the fundamental building blocks of our medicine. And in that system, China holds all the cards. They are the biggest producer of these APIs in the world. Even India, one of our largest suppliers of finished drugs, gets about 80% of its core ingredients from China. And when it comes to something as critical as antibiotics, China controls 90% of the entire global supply.
As one expert put it at the hearing, and this is a quote you won't forget, "The choke points for our most basic medicines are controlled by Beijing."
So, this leads to a pretty terrifying question, one that doesn't feel hypothetical anymore. What if China, maybe in a conflict or just a trade dispute, decides to turn off the spigot? How long could we actually last? The answer the experts gave is, well, it's grim. For some drugs, we might have a couple months of supply already in the pipeline. But a cutoff would trigger immediate hoarding, immediate panic, and essential medicines, especially things like antibiotics, could be gone in a matter of months. One expert literally called it a cataclysmic scenario.
Okay, so the problem is obviously huge and dangerous. But the hearing wasn't all doom and gloom. The experts also came prepared. They laid out a clear 4-part strategy to start fixing this broken system and taking back control of our own security. So here's the game plan they proposed. First, enforce the law. No more slaps on the wrist. Start hitting these companies with real penalties and stop giving bad actors a pass just because we're afraid of shortages. Second, demand transparency. Put the country of origin right on the label so that we can all make informed choices. Third, reshore and diversify. Let's use incentives to bring manufacturing back home, or at least to friendly, trusted countries. And finally, number 4, reward resilience. Let's build a new system that actually rewards quality and reliability, not just the absolute rock-bottom price.
But this isn't something the government can just fix on its own. To really get this done, everyone has to play a part. The government needs to enforce the rules and create the right incentives. The industry has to start investing in quality over just cost. And us, consumers and pharmacists, we have to start using our voices and our wallets to demand a much higher standard. So all of this brings us right back to where we started, to our own homes and that bottle of pills. It's really clear we've got a huge problem on our hands, one that hits our personal health and our national security. And after everything we've uncovered today, the real question is, the next time you open your medicine cabinet, are you going to see those pills the same way?